This is ABC 15 Mornings.
We have new information in a high-profile Valley case that made national headlines. The public now learning that another officer was involved in the Antonio Arce incident.
And while another massive investigation into the Fort Hood Army base in Texas continues, we remember those lost who have close ties to the Navajo Nation.
Also, we're going to show you how one Tempe organization is gathering important resources for teens as more of them reach out for help and support during the pandemic. We say good morning to you, 6 o'clock straight up on this Saturday morning. I'm Nohelani Graff.
And I'm Mark Thompson, social distancing from home. And have you noticed my new setup here? I've got my living room back. Finally, the crew came in and set up some new digs for me here, and it's in the dining room, so now I've got more space.
Yes, I did see, and you've got a little bit of a light behind there. Yeah, we don't see the whole case behind you, so that's fine. Yeah, it looks sharp, nice and clean lines. All right, let's talk about that most accurate forecast this morning, because it's also cool outside, 73 degrees right now. But this is a live view from our South Mountain camera, and you can already see the difference. That haze, those are not clouds. That is smoke from the wildfires burning to our west. And our breezes are almost non-existent, only about 5 miles an hour, so not helping us to move that out of here just yet. You'll also notice that we will stay in the upper 90s once again today, so it's going to be very similar to what we saw yesterday. And then tomorrow, those triple digits start to return. 103 is that forecast high for Sunday, still within 2 degrees of the average for this time of year. So we will talk about these warmer temperatures, and I'll break down today's forecast for you hour by hour, show you how long these cooler morning temps will stick around, coming up in just minutes.
All right, hey, thank you. 6:02 now on your Saturday morning. We've got an update to that traffic alert that we brought you earlier this morning. Troopers are investigating a deadly accident on the Loop 101 and 7th Avenue. Officers tell us that a commercial vehicle collided with a car overnight. This is a live look right now. Eastbound, the Loop 101, it is closed at 7th Avenue right now. There is no estimated time for when it will reopen.
Morning, Tempe police are looking for 2 people they believe were involved in a shooting near Southern and Kyrene. Police tell us that around 2:30 this morning, police got a call from a man who had been shot after 2 people tried to enter his home. Officials tell us the man and the woman ran from the scene. They have not been found. The victim, in the meantime, is expected to be okay. And this morning, services are underway for an Arizona police officer who was shot and killed in the line of duty. Brian Brown, spending nearly 2 decades with the Tohono O'odham Police Department. His memorial gets underway at 10 a.m. at the Desert Diamond Casino. The Army veteran was killed last month while trying to arrest a man who was armed. Also this morning, there's a major development in the case of Antonio Arce. A lot of people have always wondered if the 14-year-old who was shot in the back and killed by a Tempe police officer would still be alive today if, say, another officer had arrived first. It's a pretty legitimate question, because now we're learning another officer was on scene but decided to drive away. ABC15 now obtaining records of an internal investigation on a different Tempe police officer, Alex Pena, a patrol officer with 11 years on the force. Tempe police found out that he was at the scene of the shooting 15 minutes earlier, and he was looking for suspicious activity in the alley. He saw the gray truck Arce was later accused of breaking into, but never made contact with the driver and instead left the area. In fact, later investigators say Pena heard the call over the radio for more officers to respond, but he ignored it and instead let Officer Gian take the call. Gian later shot the 14-year-old in the back. Tempe police finding Pena failed to comply with basic police duties and has since received a written reprimand. Meantime, the Arce family did reach a $2 million settlement with the city of Tempe in June.
K9 chaos sparking controversy this morning after a police dog from Prescott Valley taking down a man seen earlier driving more than 100 miles per hour down streets and highways. These tense moments happening back in May, but new this morning, some video raising questions now about how that arrest was handled. ABC 15's Zach Crenshaw speaking exclusively to people on both sides about the dramatic takedown.
A Yavapai County Sheriff's deputy's body cam begins when Alfredo Saldivar is lying face down.
Don't talk. Don't move.
Nope. Hey, get on your knees now. Get on your knees.
Saldivar does. And for the next 30 seconds,
Hands up.
Was following every single verbal command.
Hey, lift your shirt up. Spin around for me. Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to bring him back to us here.
Yes, sir.
Stand up. Stand up. Still.
The suspect is still, despite the fact that he's getting bitten by the dogs, trying to be compliant with those commands.
Roll on your belly. Roll on your belly. Roll on your belly. Do it now. Do it now.
Please stop the dog. Please stop the dog. Please stop the dog.
eventually the Belgian Malinois pulled off. No weapons are found on the 28-year-old, and he asks this.
Why did you guys let the dog get me?
We took that question to Prescott Valley PD.
The dog was released based on the handler's perception, the canine handler's perception, what he perceived to be a threat at that time.
But was there a threat? ASU professor and use of force expert Dr. Michael White doesn't think so.
I don't see any resistance.
He did everything they told him to do.
Saldivar's attorney, Bami Adeleo.
I just think the officers did not follow protocol.
A review of the department's canine apprehension guidelines reveals the suspect must pose an imminent threat of violence, be resisting arrest, or be concealed in an area.
On its face, it looks horrific. It looks like they released a dog on a citizen who is complying with all of their verbal commands.
In a press release this week, Prescott Valley PD tries to justify the dog's bites by saying,
the suspect appeared to hesitate. Is that your interpretation of what happened?
I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback the video.
There's also the fact that canine policy calls for a clearly audible warning before releasing the dog.
I didn't hear a single warning. It was not even necessary because the suspect wasn't resisting in the first place.
Saldivar eventually taken to the hospital.
He was ripping flesh. He shook his head.
He would have permanent nerve damage.
His brother-in-law telling me,
mentally and physically, he's destroyed.
Meanwhile, Prescott Valley PD says their internal investigation is ongoing.
The use of force is going to be dissected.
As the biting and screaming was subsiding, there was praise.
That's a good boy. That's my good dog.
Threats.
How much saw you guys?
And a debrief.
You guys all right?
Yes, sir. He was hands up, compliant pretty much.
All right, so...
And that was Zach Crenshaw reporting. And now to some new developments in the case of a missing Valley mother. She's been missing for a week now, and police do suspect foul play in her disappearance, and now they've released some new video.
So that explosion took place just minutes before Julie Concialdi's car caught fire last Friday night. It was found abandoned near 19th Avenue and Beardsley. The 59-year-old was last seen hours earlier at her home 9 miles away. Phoenix police do confirm they have served a search warrant on her home and that her husband has been cooperative in the search, but the case continues. Now let's talk about COVID-19 here in Arizona. More than 500 new cases added to the total in our state. That comes as several key hospital metrics, on the other hand, continue to show declines. But we're also learning that fewer people are starting to get tested. Last week, Arizona averaged 7,400 tests a day, but you compare that to 15,000 people getting tested back in July. ASU's Biodesign Institute says their saliva testing sites have been seeing less demand. Sonora Quest also reporting a drop in testing numbers. And an epidemiologist at U Arizona tells us that he is worried that this may become a trend.
You need to find the people who have the virus and block that transmission chain from growing by isolating them, but also finding out who they've been in contact with, because those people also might be infected.
COVID-19. We're also getting ready for flu season. The state now rolling out a new campaign urging all of us to get a flu shot as soon as possible. It's called Roll Up Your Sleeve. And the main goal here is, of course, to keep everyone safe, but also to help preserve our hospital resources so they don't get overwhelmed between the two viruses.
And starting today, a new step in tracking the spread across the valley. Maricopa County and ASU, they're teaming up for the Sero survey. This video gives a glimpse as to what to expect if your home is randomly chosen to take part. Researchers, they will set up an area outside your home taking a blood sample, which will be tested for antibodies. The study is completely anonymous and voluntary. The end goal here is to understand how many people have been infected, even if you may not know it, which could help lead to relaxing some of the COVID-19 guidelines.
About 10 minutes past the top of the hour, let's talk about that most accurate forecast for you. It's 73 degrees in the Phoenix metro, and we're going to stay in the 70s for another couple of hours here. It's really nice if you can get outside, take the dog for a walk this morning. We'll be in the 80s by 9 o'clock, so still comfortable and pleasant, but by 11 we start to warm up. 93 degrees at that time. We'll be in the upper 90s after lunchtime at 1 o'clock. So plan accordingly and keep your activities in the first half of the day. Enjoy these cooler mornings while you can. We will notice another hazy day. It'll stay that way all weekend, so very similar conditions to what we saw yesterday. And then the triple digits will return, and it looks like they're going to stick around for a while. So I'll show you what that looks like coming up in that full, most accurate forecast.
All right, no, hey, thank you. 6:11 now, still ahead. The Navajo Nation president now demanding justice for 2 young soldiers who lost their lives on base in Texas. And to our west, 500,000 people evacuated from their homes as wildfires rage on now. Some state leaders are placing the blame on climate change. Welcome back, everybody. Soldiers dying on American soil. A massive investigation continues at one of the nation's largest Army bases. Of course, we're talking about Fort Hood, Texas, where these numbers are staggering. Nearly 30 lives lost this year alone, most notably among them Specialist Vanessa Guillen, who was beaten to death by a fellow soldier on that base. Her body found months later, only after her family's outcry reached national attention. And this morning we wanted to shed some light onto Navajo Nation soldiers who also lost their lives at Fort Hood. And now ABC 15's Adam Waltz has new information about the 2 whose lives were gone way too soon.
Army Specialist Miguel Yazzie from Window Rock, Arizona, and Private Carlton Chi from New Mexico. Both Navajo, both dead at Fort Hood.
We are saddened by the loss of our warriors.
Yazzie was hospitalized due to a medical condition on July 2nd. He died the next day. Less than 2 months later, Chi collapsed during a training exercise. He died days later, surrounded by family. According to a GoFundMe page for Carlton Chi, he was a dad. He had 2 sons and is survived by his fiancée and many extended family members.
Little to no information coming from the leadership at Fort Hood.
Navajo Nation President Jonathan Nez is calling for a formal investigation into their deaths.
We're just wanting to make sure that the families get their information, their questions answered, and so that they can, move towards healing and have some closure.
28 soldiers have died at Fort Hood this year alone.
We demand justice because he signed up to give us liberty and justice.
2 weeks ago, another mysterious death at Fort Hood. 23-year-old Elder Fernandez found dead 28 miles from the base. Local police do not expect foul play, but families said Sergeant Fernandez reported being sexually assaulted not long before.
He went to serve the country and he is not with us anymore for a bad reason.
Last week, the Army announcing changes in leadership following the death of Vanessa Guillen, including replacing Fort Hood's senior commander. In Phoenix, Adam Waltz, ABC 15 Arizona.
Let's talk now about that most accurate forecast. If you haven't looked outside, stepped outside, opened your patio door, Do it while you can. The temperatures are so nice this morning. It is also nice enough to enjoy a warmer morning beverage outside on the patio, and maybe turn off the AC for a couple of hours and give it a break, get some fresh air. 66 in Ahwatukee right now, 65 in Chandler and Gilbert. We're in the 60s in Levine and Buckeye, as well as Surprise. 70 though in Goodyear, Deer Valley neighborhoods, Cave Creek and Tempe, but still nice and mild out there. And we're going to stay in these cooler temperatures for the next couple of hours. It's going to take us until 9 o'clock to start warming into the 80s. So we've got a little while to enjoy these cooler temps, and we'll stay in the 80s until 11 when we hit 93 degrees. By lunchtime at noon, it'll be 95. And then we top out today in the upper 90s. We'll come close to triple digits, but I do think that we fall just short, and part of that is because of those hazy skies sticking around, blocking out the sun because of the wildfire smoke from the west. So we're looking at a high of 99 out in the West Valley in Buckeye, Goodyear, Levine, and Peoria. A degree cooler than that in Ahwatukee, Tempe, and Mesa, warming to 98. Same temperature in Queen Creek and Santan Valley. Apache Junction warming to 97. Cave Creek and Anthem, 96 is your forecast high. Remember, the average for this time of year is 101 degrees, so we're just a couple of degrees below the average. Temperatures right now across the state. Check out the Grand Canyon, freezing there, 32 degrees, 33 in Flagstaff, as well as Window Rock and Heber. So we're definitely seeing that turn of seasonal temperatures up to our north, in the 40s in Show Low as well. 64 in Sedona right now, so nice and cool for you. 59 in Payson, and we've got 60s and 70s to our south. Up in the high country today, will warm into the 70s, so it will be a cooler day, but that haze will stick around statewide. 75 in Flagstaff, 77 in Heber and Window Rock. Page warming into the 80s today. Sedona, upper 80s for you. Similar temperature in Globe, 89. We'll come close to triple digits in Casa Grande, and then I do think that we hit the century mark in Gila Bend, Yuma, Bullhead City, and Lake Havasu City. Bullhead City going to warm to 106 today, so it is still going to be hot there. Live view this morning of our Mayo Clinic camera. The Papagos in the background, and you can see it's hazy. Those are not clouds. That's not cloud cover. That is wildfire smoke that has blown in from the west. Now, despite that, it's actually sitting rather high, so our air quality is in the moderate range. That's good news. Unless you're particularly sensitive, then you do still want to limit your time outside, but otherwise you can see everywhere in yellow we've got air quality in the moderate range. And as we move through the weekend, high pressure is what is driving that smoke into our state, so it is going to linger through the weekend until that high pressure system parks itself over the Four Corners area. So in the start of the new work week, then we'll start to get some clearing. The breezes will pick up, and we'll see our skies improve. Our temperatures in the meantime are going to continue to warm. Tomorrow, those triple digits return, and it looks like they're sticking around through the first part of the week. On Tuesday, it'll be 104 degrees. Our morning temperatures getting just a little bit warmer, warming into the low 80s, but still comfortable and pleasant out there. So I'll talk about how long these warmer temperatures will last. Remember, the average is 101, so it's about 3 degrees warmer than that. And I'll talk about how long they look to stick around in the 7-day forecast coming up just a little bit later this morning, Mark.
All right, no, hey, thank you. 6:20 now on your Saturday morning. Arizona, a key battleground state, and they are preparing for another visit from President Trump. But right after the break, we are going to be learning more about a youth specialty program in Tempe that is put into place to support those who are having troubles at home. Stay with us.
September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month, and during this time of COVID-19 especially, we have seen the need for any kind of social, emotional, and mental health services and support become a vital lifeline for people in our community, especially the younger age groups. So this morning, to talk about one of those resources, Maria Gonzalez is joining us. Maria, thanks so much for being with us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
So you are part of something that's called CAREZ in the city of Tempe. Tell me a little bit about what that is.
So CAREZ has been around probably for 23 years now, 23, 24 years, and it's the city, the crisis team for the city of Tempe. So we have a 24-hour crisis response team. We have a counseling department. We have a victim services department. We have a case management working group. And then we have the youth specialists that I'm here to talk about today.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the focus that you put on the youth, and specifically we're talking about kids in school and high schoolers.
Yes, so the City of Tempe, CAREZ 7 and Tempe Union High School District has a very unique partnership in the way that we have a youth specialist program in Tempe Union High School District and all Tempe Union High Schools. And we have these individuals who are dedicated to providing individual and support group services to students to try to provide that social emotional support, especially right now.
Yeah, so what sort of issues do they come and see you about?
It's a variety. It can be anxiety and depression. It can be kiddos who are indicating they're having a tough time at home, a tough time with the current situation. It could be family issues. It really could be a variety of things. It could be if there's a family who is experiencing homelessness, they can go to the youth specialist and get connected to some of our other CAREZ 7 services that we offer. It could be anything that the student feels like they're having a hard time with. They can come and talk to the youth specialist on their campus, where they feel safe and get the help that they're looking for.
So with COVID-19, one, we know the emotional support because kids have been out of touch with their friends. Two, their parents are under extreme amounts of pressure and stress, and that can spill over and create issues of domestic violence. So how have you been connecting with kids who need help during this time of social distancing and schools closed?
Sure. So the youth specialists have been doing a lot of communication with parents and students in the virtual realm, of course. So we've been offering services online, both individual and support groups. And when we first talk to students, we try to make sure that they're in a safe place and that they're able to talk. We're also available on phone, via text message, and email. So we try to make ourselves as available as possible until we're able to see the students again in person. But all of our information, contact information, is on the Tempe Union High School District website, on each school website, and also on the CAREZ 7 website.
And I think it's important for people to know that you continue your support through the long term. So even when it comes to disaster assistance, it's not just the night of that incident that's happened. You continue to stay with them and help navigate all of the other avenues that follow.
Yes, I think it's amazing that the school district, Tempe Union High School District, and the city have seen the value of this partnership and the value of the youth specialist services and the connection that they have to the other working groups in CAREZ 7, and to be able to provide that continuum of care. It can start with a family. If our crisis team went out with a family and one of the kiddos attends the Tempe Union High School District school, then our youth specialist can follow up. If they're in need of clinical counseling services, that's available. If they're in need of case management services, that's available. Victim services, that's available. So the connection to the services that are provided outside of that is just, I feel like the value is seen by both sides, and it's just amazing that they've been able to develop this partnership.
Yeah, I have no doubt that you're also saving lives out there with the services that your team is providing. Maria Gonzalez with the CAREZ 7 team for the City of Tempe. Thank you so much for your time and for your information today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.